Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Quartz. This is a game that was put out by Passport Games. It is a 3 to 5 player game that takes roughly half an hour to 45 minutes to play. It's a competitive game, so each player is working against the other players to gain the most points to be the victor at the end of the game. The game itself, each player is playing a dwarf miner that is going to be trying to mine gems and collect them and take them to the market at the end of the day to sell them for gold. On top of this, as players draw the gems, it's a random draw. You don't know what you're going to be drawing out of the bag. There are bad gems as well, which are called obsidian gems. And if a player happens to have 2 of those during their turn, then they have suffered an accident and are kicked out of the mine and will lose all the gems that they have that turn. On top of this, the players are going to have cards that they're going to play either for themselves or against other players to cause them to have various negative effects. So I've enjoyed this game so far. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's a solid game. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy the hidden elements to it as you're doing blind draws from the bag because you never know what you're going to get. You can get the best gem in the game in one draw, or you can get obsidian and get knocked out right away. And the card elements that you're going to be able to play on other players definitely add a nice theme to it as you're trying to backstab other players to get them knocked out of the mine so you can get the good gems and get the most points at the end. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. In Quartz there are 7 different types of crystals. So starting with the one that you want the least is obsidian, which has 18 crystals. Then we have quartz at 15, amethyst at 12, emeralds at 10, sapphires at 7, rubies at 4, and amber at 2. Which is the most valuable crystal that you can gain, going from the least valuable, which is obsidian. At the beginning of each game, you will add all these crystals to your bag and shake it up really well. Now, after the first game that you've played, you'll probably just leave them in the bag, so you don't have to worry about doing this. And then anytime you're required to do a draw, you would do a draw blindly from the bag so that you don't know what you're drawing. And yes, all the crystals are the same shape, so there's no way that you can tell from inside the bag what crystal you have. There are 2 different types of mine cards in the mine deck. The first one are the blue background cards that can only be played during your turn. The other one are the purple background cards that can only be played as a reaction to one of the blue cards being played on you. And each one of these cards will list the specific card that it will cancel the effects of. So, for example, this one is Nope, I'm on break, will cancel Give Me a Hand here, which is this card over here. On top of that, each one of these cards is going to have a value in money, and at the end of the game, these will be totaled up for all the cards that you still have in your hand, and will be added to your final total. The setup for Quartz is very easy. The first thing you'll do is place out the main board in the center of the table, and then place the day marker on day 1. From here you can go ahead and put out all the tokens you're going to need. And then each player will receive a mine cart and a treasure chest card. You can go and place out the gem bag with all the gems inside of it, or all the crystals. And then finally you can grab the deck of mine cards. Go ahead and shuffle it up, and then each player will be dealt 5 cards. So each player will get 5, and then this deck can be put off to the side. Now before players start at the beginning of each day, you're going to put out a bravery bonus based on the number of players minus 1. So we have 3 players, which is also listed up in the icon, so we're going to place out 2 cards. So we'll place out the first card here, and then the second card will also get $1 on it as well. So we'll get a card and the dollar. From here, we're ready to start. And you can do this in any fashion you want. Usually I'll take 1 crystal of a different color for each player and then choose one to be the starting, and then do a random draw, and whichever player grabs that gem from a blind draw will be the starting player. Quartz is played over 5 days, with each day going until all the players have left the mine, either forcefully or by choice. So we've selected our player over here to go first, and so during a player's turn, they can choose from one of 3 options. They can choose to take a mine from the bag, they can choose to play one of their action cards and resolve its effects, or they can choose to leave the mine to be able to sell any gems that they have. So let's go ahead and take a look at examples of each of these as we go around the board with our dwarves. So our first player here is going to go ahead and draw a gem from the bag and finds a blue. So he'll add it to his mine cart, and then we'll proceed to the next player, who's going to go ahead and play a card. So he's going to go ahead and pick this one here, and this says to choose an opponent who must mine 2 gems, or 2 crystals. You may take one, but your opponent must keep the other. And he's going to go ahead and play it on this player, and they don't have any cards that are going to help them, so they're going to go ahead and mine the 2 gems, or 2 crystals that they want. Alright, so our player over here is obviously going to take the purple, leaving the obsidian for our poor player over there. Going over to his turn, then he's going to go ahead and play to take 1 obsidian from your minecart and give it to another player. So he's going to go ahead and play this, and he's going to go ahead and shift this back over to our player over here. And then it would just keep proceeding around until one of the players decides to leave. Now there's a couple other things I'd like to cover. The first are the bravery bonuses that players will get. So as players go around, if a player chooses to leave the mine, and there's still at least 2 other dwarves in the mine, then he will claim the first bravery bonus on the far left, and bravery bonuses will be handed out from left to right. From there, if a dwarf suffers an accident, then the first bravery bonus will be removed in order. So if this one's already gone, then this one would go away. And if there are only 2 dwarfs left inside the mine, and one of them suffers an accident, the other dwarf will receive the last bravery bonus, and any coins that are on top of it. The other thing that I want to talk about is the obsidian. So as we can see down here, our player over here does have 1 already. Now if he picks up a second one by going into the bag, or if another player gives him 1, then he's going to suffer an accident. When he suffers an accident, then he'll flip over his minecart, and any crystals that he has will go back into the bag, including the obsidian and any valuable crystals he has. From there, he's going to receive 1 of the experience tokens, which in later turns he can use at any time during his turn to return 1 of his obsidian to the bag. And this can be used to stop getting a second obsidian, or simply just used at any point when he wants to. Now, the one other thing is if a player can only have 1 experience token at a time, and at the end of the 5th day when you're selling everything, the experience token is worth 3 points. So we're going to go ahead and continue playing for a little bit just to kind of see what happens with our dwarves. So our player back over here is going to go ahead and play a card, and this one lets him mine 3 crystals, and he gets to return any obsidian that he's gotten from the bag. Alright, so he drew really well, and so he didn't draw any of that. And then it goes to the next player. He does have an obsidian already, so he's going to check his cards and see what he's got. So he's going to go ahead and play this card again that let another player draw so that he can hopefully not get another obsidian. He's going to choose this player down here, and they don't have any cards that are going to help them stop it, so they're going to go ahead and draw 2. And they happen to pull 2 whites, so he'll take 1 and the other player will receive the other one. Going over to our last player here, he's going to go ahead and draw from the bag, and he pulls a red. Going back over here, he's going to go ahead and play this card that lets him draw 7 gems, and he gets to exchange 1 of those with 1 of the gems or crystals that he has. So let's go ahead and do that. One, two, three, four. So he got 7 there. So he's going to go ahead and choose 1 of those to exchange. And he sees that he gets a bonus when he has 3 or more gems to sell of the same type. So he's going to go ahead and exchange his quartz for 1 of the greens. And then he'll return the rest to the bag. Our dwarf over here, again, is going to play this card here that lets him steal 2 valuable gems from another dwarf's mine. And so he's going to come over here to this player who doesn't have any cards to stop him, so he's going to take one of his green and one of his blue. Going back over here, that player is just going to draw another gem from the bag and pulls another red. Coming over here to this player, he doesn't have any cards that are going to help him yet, so he's going to go ahead and draw another gem and finds another blue. Man, our players are hot. Okay, so over here, this player is satisfied with what he has, so he's going to go ahead and leave the mine. So he's going to go ahead and take his gems and flip his cart over to that side, and then he gets to claim the bravery bonus as there's still 2 dwarfs in there. So he'll get this card here, and then it'll go over to our next player, who is going to go ahead and draw from the bag and finds a quartz. Coming back over here, this player will do the same and pulls an obsidian. Going back over to our first player, he's going to go ahead and do another draw, and he draws an obsidian. Coming back over here, this player is going to decide to leave the mine at this point. So he will flip his card over and move his gems over. And then it goes over to the final player. As he doesn't have anything else, he will gain this final card, and he will have to leave the mine. Okay, so now that all of our dwarfs are done, we're going to go ahead and do scoring for the end of the day. So each dwarf will be able to sell their crystals back, and they can discard any obsidian that they have back into the bag, because that won't count as any points. So our first player over here has 4 crystals, and if he looks on his mine card, it gives him the breakdown of the crystals and if there's any bonuses to be had, and then what their values are. So he didn't have enough to do that one that he was hoping for with selling 3 crystals of one type will double the value of one of his other types. So he's going to go ahead and save a couple of his crystals in his chest. So he's going to save a green and a blue, and he'll sell these. So he gets 2 for the amethyst and 3 for the emerald. So he'll pick up 5 points there, and these will go back to the bag. Over here with this player, he's going to do a very similar thing by saving the 2 that he got and selling these, which are going to give him 3 points. And finally, the same thing with this guy. He's going to go ahead and save his 2 red and sell his quartz for 1. From here, then we're ready to set up for the next day. So all the dwarf players will receive a new mine card, and then we will move the tracker up and reset our area for our bravery bonuses. And the dwarf that was the last one to leave the mine on the previous day will be the first one to start. So our player over here will be our starting player, and you're ready to start a new round. Now that we've completed the 5th day, we're ready to move into the final scoring round. During the final scoring round, the players are going to sell all their gems, including the ones in their chest. They're going to sell an experience token if they have it, and they're also going to sell any of the cards that they have remaining. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and take care of the final scoring for all the players. So we're going to go ahead and flip our token back over. And our player here has a bunch of gems. And now the one thing to keep in mind is that you can only sell or get 1 bonus no matter what kind of combination you have. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. We have 1 gem of 5 colors, so we're going to go ahead and do the 5 color bonus. So when selling 5 different types of gems, you receive an additional 8 coins. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And so we're going to get 4 for each sapphire, so that'll be 8 points. We get 3 for the emerald for 11, 2 for the amethysts for 13, 1 for the quartz for 14, and 6 for the ruby, which will make it 20, plus the 8 for the bonus of selling 5 gems. So we'll get 28 coins there, and then we'll go ahead and sell our cards. Each one of the cards is going to have a value up in the top corner. So we have 3, 6, and 9. We're going to go ahead and put in a coin back to get just a 10, and then we'll total it up. So our player here has 50, so we'll switch that out. 60, 65. Moving on to our next guy over here. We can go and get rid of that. So he has 3 of one type, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So he's going to get 18 points for the 3 rubies, and then he's going to double the amount of his 2 emeralds. So each emerald will be worth 6 points instead of 3, so we got 12 points there, and 18 for 30. And we have a card for 3, and we have an experience token. And the experience token is also worth 3 gold. So then our player is going to total up. So he's going to end with 39 gold. And moving on to our last player, he's got 5 quartz and 3 amethysts. Again, he can only choose 1 bonus, even though he could qualify for 2 of them. So he's going to go ahead and sell the 4 quartz. Let's go ahead and bump up the amber, because that's the most valuable thing. So that'll be worth 16. And that'll be 4 for 20. And then he will get 6 for that for 26. And finally, 5 more for 31. And then let's go ahead and sell his cards real quick. We'll make it 50. So he ends with 63. And our guy over here had 65. So our player over here will be the winner. And that's the end of the game.